Okay, tell me if this sounds familiar to you. You're watching your favorite character in your favorite TV show, right? They're doing their job, they're doing their thing, you're absolutely in love with them. Then boom, they get absolutely, positively slimed out. Like there's no chance they are alive, right? They get absolutely brutalized, like it's an MK fatality. Then it hard cuts into Freaking You by JoJo's. And if that's the case, you deserve compensation because you are a victim of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And then if you're anything like me, you have to ask the question, why? How does a song about doing it with the person you love, that's how I'm going to censor that, deal with anything in part 5? Now this is going to sound crazy, but it actually has a lot of meaning and is very integral to the plot, as I say, with a straight face. And that goes with all the JoJo endings. Just like how song references are important for JoJo characters and JoJo stands, the song endings are important for the JoJo parts, as they have double meaning for the part itself and what Araki was feeling at the time, as he does handpick these songs for David Productions to use in the JoJo anime. So if you're a new fan, an older fan, or somebody that just doesn't know in general, I'll be breaking down what the endings actually mean for the part itself and what Araki was thinking at that given time. That being said, hello, my name is Meadows. So we'll do this in chronological order, starting off with Phantom Blood and Battle Tendencies ending Roundabout by Yes. Now, by far, this is the most singular popular JoJo's ending, if not anime ending of all time, hands down. So much so that even Family Guy has a bit that they reference in their own show with Roundabout. Genuinely insane that's even a bit. Mind you though, even though it's very culturally significant and does have a lot of pop culture behind it, the song itself isn't that crazy. For years, I thought it had a very deep meaning and something profound to say. However, in a recent viewing of it, it's dead ass just talking about the road nostalgically. Kid you not, look at the lyrics. While there is a deeper love for a singular person within the song itself, a majority of it is talking about how they're going to get to that person they love and think about the memories they made along the way. So that place in between spot A and spot B is the significance of the song, that traveling the journey itself. That being the case, it is literally perfect for the first 2 parts of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like intended, and the whole series in general. Yes, I also mean the SBR universe as well. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a long series. Whether you watch it or read it, it will be a journey for you. So it's kind of like the official, non-official theme song for the franchise. And even if you think about it in the context of the original 3 parts that were only supposed to be produced before Araki said, I'll make more, is that even then, it is still going to be a long distance journey, literally and metaphorically. You start out with no Dio, then with Dio, then Joseph versus Cars, Joseph from Cars to Jotaro and Dio to just the Joestars by themselves, ending up in a roundabout path. However, retroactively, because of all the parts added to it, it is even a longer journey than initially intended, still ending with the final battle between Jolene and Poochie being significant and a callback to Jonathan and Dio. That's why it plays at the ending of part 6. We finished where we started, and we look back with a bit of nostalgia on the previous parts. So while Araki probably originally intended Roundabout to be for the first 3 parts, it symbolizes the entire franchise. And since we were just talking about part 3, let's go right into that with Walk Like an Egyptian. Now, I feel like this song has a lot of different meanings for JoJo and Araki. Primarily looking at part 3 first, the Stardust Crusaders are literally trying to get to Cairo and Egypt. So on a very basic and surface level analysis, it's just that. A song about Egypt or getting to Egypt for the Stardust Crusaders, with the song possibly inspiring the idea of a mix of cultures trying to walk the line like an Egyptian. Does that at all sound familiar? I think it does. However though, swapping from the Stardust Crusaders part initially to Araki, things actually change a lot. This song released in 1986, a year before Stardust Crusaders, and before Stardust Crusaders was made, Araki did go to Egypt for an international visit in order to understand what Egypt is like before he writes it in Stardust Crusaders. So more likely than not, Walk Like an Egyptian was playing in Araki's ear while he was developing stands, understanding Dio as a character, Jotaro, Joseph, and what the overall vibe and feel for Stardust Crusaders. Alternatively, after his trip from Egypt, he found the song and listened to it while he was writing and drawing Stardust Crusaders for Shonen Jump, all being one giant ass coincidence for Araki at the time. Regardless though, even if Walk Like an Egyptian was used in the pre-phases of Stardust Crusaders Crusaders development or during the earlier chapters of Stardust Crusaders, Last Train Home is more likely than not Araki's preferred way of looking back at Stardust Crusaders. You have to remember, when David Productions asks him what songs he was listening to at the time, it only makes sense that nostalgic songs that are literally built to be nostalgic come to mind first. While Last Train Home has no lyrics, Last Train Home is about nostalgically looking back at the last train home in the middle of America, giving off this cozy and very vibey feeling after a long journey doing something. In the Stardust Crusaders case, it's defeating Dio, and maybe even in Araki's case, putting his name on the map. And then David Productions proceeds to make it extremely sad. Because there is no lyrics, you have to heavily dig into your visual bag to make it interesting, and the overall implication is Joseph only has 3 tickets for 3 of the Stardust Crusaders, so 1 for himself and 2 for 2 others, meaning that someone is going home in a body bag or not going home in general. So all the cool visuals of the group hanging out, having a good time is supposed to be very melancholic, as well, only 3 of them make it back home. I miss Iggy, man. I miss Iggy. Bittersweet nostalgia. It's kind of like a underlying theme in JoJo's, isn't it? Coming into part 4, things get a little bit interesting here with I Want You by Savage Garden. Now, the meaning of the song might not actually matter here. Now, you could say it's very Kira-like with the fact that there's a lot of wanting in this song. However, the meaning in general might not matter, as it seems like Araki, Savage Garden, yes, the band itself, and Yasufumi, the credits director, all liked the vibe, whether that be the song itself or the franchise in general, because Darren Haynes might like the show just in general. Araki, on the other hand, likes the thematic rhythm of the song I Want You, as it crescendos a lot, which he enjoys. And Yasufumi wanted to have this nostalgic callback to MTV around the era. So the ending credits itself is a giant reference to just kind of 90s culture in general. So in a way, part 4 is supposed to be kind of like a slice in time of the 90s, or the 90s aesthetic, or the feel of the 90s, regardless of even the country. All of this kind of low-key confirms that Diamond is Unbreakable is just kind of for the vibes, given by the fact that that's why Araki wrote it, and Savage Garden is the sprinkle on top. Now, up until this point, for the most part, a lot of the JoJo ending themes have a rhyme and a reason, either through its nostalgic callback, it being a period piece, or maybe it's symbolizing a long journey, depending on the part, or something you had in the background while making something. And you see, that last one is pretty significant. Araki is always constantly playing music in the background while he's making or creating something, as it is a hymn to humanity, and he uses it for inspiration when making characters or stands, or maybe even whole themes of a part. Golden Wind is about gangsters, so of course Araki was listening to West Coast gangster rap, or gangster rap in general, at the time he was making Golden Wind. And funny enough, he wanted to use gangster rap for the ending credits of Golden Wind. However, they didn't want to do that, so they all ended up deciding to use Freakin' You by JoJo's. Now I have to ask, why though? Now, my best guess is, just like part 4, there is no significant meaning of Freaking You by Jodeci that connects back directly into Golden Wind, so the meaning of the song doesn't matter. However, in the initial interview itself, it says they chose it, that being Araki and the team, for its slow-paced nature, and more likely than not, its subject matter, in order to break up the part. The characters in this part die brutally. Even though it can be funny and whimsical at times, it can get very dark and depressing really fast. So in terms of presentation, in order to help the audience kind of settle with the fact that a lot of their favorite characters are going to die, is to kind of break up that feeling through a off-kilter or a very hard juxtaposed song like Freaking You. So in a way, the David production team wants you to get out of your depressed state with all this death through a song about sex. Makes me wonder though, what was Araki's first choice? Knowing the history with part 8, we do know that he did listen to Doggy Style for a while, so maybe a Snoop Dogg song? A Tupac song? Maybe Memphis rap if Araki knows game? I genuinely wonder what his first choice was, that they said, no, Freakin' You's better. Aside from that crazy decision, Modern Crusaders is the next one up for the part 5 anime in terms of its endings, and personally for me, this is by far my favorite. So Modern Crusaders, unlike the last 2 songs, actually holds a significant amount of meaning here. While the song itself is talking about a group of people coming together to fight for their rights. This obviously pairs up with both Passion and La Squadra being crusaders of some degree fighting against Diavolo and his corrupt forces that hinder both groups down. However, it's probably more in association with Bruno's group than anything, as they are the true fighters and are supposed to be kind of the parallels to the old Crusaders, that being the Stardust Crusaders, and them being the modern Crusaders. Now that's strictly speaking in verse. Out of verse, like in real life I mean, they are technically the second most popular part, if not the first part, in Japan. So it totally makes sense why they are the modern Crusaders for the 2000s. And since Araki did bring it up with part 4 and I Want You by Savage Garden, I also feel like the general vibe and theme of the song, once you hear it, does fit very in line with the second half of part 5, given its rebellious nature, angelic chords, and its heavy use of Latin. And we come to our last ending, coming from Stone Ocean, that being Distant Dreamer by Duffy. Now, personally, out of all these songs, if one had a really close connection to its initial part, it would be Distant Dreamer. That's because if you end up looking at the lyrics of Distant Dreamer, they scream Jolene. And I don't mean like scream as in, wow, that's pretty loud. No, it almost seems like it's almost a direct connection to the character. Like this is like a lost music reference we didn't know till the anime came out. Overall, the song can be summarized as a very hope-filled song, even though it sounds really sad. Duffy within the song itself sounds like she always wants to constantly do something. However, because of limitations, she's always constantly dreaming of it or hoping to do something. We don't know what that something is because I think it's supposed to be abstract for the audience listener, whether that be me or you, to place a specific hope in mind while listening to it. Given that idea, I think with Jolene herself, she's always constantly battling and fighting for something better, whether that's for Emporio, a better future, maybe connecting with her father more, maybe even potentially seeing her mom again or the friends around her. There's a lot of things that Jolene dreams and fights for. And for better or worse, Jolene does perish. However, her hopes and dreams do not fall on deaf ears, as Emporio does listen and thankfully clutches up against Pucci, stopping the Heaven Plan. Like I said, it's a bittersweet feeling that ties in extremely closely to the ending of Stone Ocean, as it also, at least personally for me, does feel bittersweet. Pucci is stopped, but at the cost of our heroes. Despite that though, and their noble sacrifice, none of them stopped believing or hoping. Which brings us to our roundabout conclusion. Whether it's about distance, or making a concept, or feeling a nostalgic feeling, or the vibes of a song, or maybe to break something up, or giving you a direct meaning for what a part symbolizes, the JoJo endings add a fine layer of enjoyment to any JoJo part. Well, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow me over on Patreon if you want to consider supporting me. Stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Deuces.